Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile. With me, Alistair McKenzie, checking his mobile phone, I guess. Not very into this podcast, unfortunately. We'll see if we can find something to interest him. I think we have so many things to talk about, starting from a Spezia Lazio. By the way, I want to thank Lazio because, it was time I had a checkup for my heart, and Saturday was the perfect thing. And so, yeah, I think my heart is perfect. Thanks again for the test, by the way. Alistair, where do we start? Acerbi scoring the final goal, Lazio awful defense performance, Milinkovic Savic, or Lazio press release against Jose Mourinho? Where do you want to start?
I'm going to start with a personal defense. I was just on my phone to promote our podcast, Vittorio. So enough of the slander, please. But yeah, I think we have to start with this statement because it's just come out. What, half an hour or so ago before we started recording, and it's pretty amazing, really. I mean, it's very, very Serie A is what I said to you just before we started. This kind of melodrama occurring. We know we've complained many times before about Lazio's communications or lack of, and their basically complete inability to read the room quite often with how and when they do these communications. But I think we can probably call this fairly classic Lazio, isn't it? I mean, they choose sometimes strange times to pick their battles, but they've really gone at Mourinho here. I don't know. Do you want to kind of give an overview of what's been said and what the background is with Mourinho's comments last night and so on?
Well, let's start with the background because maybe people outside Italy are not aware. But after the last goal of Acerbi against Spezia, which honestly I don't know if it's onside or offside, but it has been given to Lazio, Codacons, that is an organization to defend the rights of people, on Sunday morning released a statement saying that Spezia Lazio should be replayed because of this huge mistake, which was astonishing because we saw so many bad mistakes and no match has been replayed for that. And then last night, Mourinho, after Roma drawing at home against Bologna, and if you see the match, there's a clear penalty not given to Bologna, said it's incredible after 22 years that a team like Lazio is able to score a goal in offside. Again, an attempt of Mourinho to put the attention to Lazio. And this is not the first time. Even last Sunday, Mourinho said that Lazio has been lucky in the last 3 matches. The referee helped Lazio in the last 3 matches. So this is not the first attack of Mourinho to Lazio. And I know we don't agree on that. I thought finally Lazio released a statement defending themselves, which you don't agree a lot with me, but I thought it was time.
Well, I mean, you say defending themselves, but I think they've ended up contradicting themselves quite a lot as well, because they've essentially said in this statement that Lazio aren't the kind of club who are going to come out and start complaining about individual refereeing errors. But while we're here, what about the Ibanez elbow in the derby? And what about the Tonali foul in the build-up to the goal in the last game, which I don't even think was a foul, to be honest. So I just think it just strikes me as a bit pointless. I think there's an opportunity to, take the high road with this kind of stuff, because we know Mourinho plays these games. He's been doing it all season. There's actually nothing new really about Mourinho complaining about refereeing decisions. Yes, perhaps the club should be going out and saying enough's enough. Like, don't, stop dragging Lazio into this. And the line about Mourinho being obsessed with Lazio more so than his own professional goals is a pretty great line. I have to say I did enjoy that. But yeah, it just felt like they didn't need to make it as long-winded as they did. I think they could have cut it shorter and made the point without writing an essay. And sadly, especially for our listeners, there's obviously, this is Lazio, so it's only in Italian on the website. If you do want to read it, I retweeted earlier A journalist called Patrick Kendrick on Twitter has written his own translation of it. This is what it comes to with Lazio: is we rely on other people doing the translations because the club won't. But it is out there if you want to see the full thing.
I mean, it's an Italian football club. They are used to write essay, and it's typical Italian, right? You go after him, especially because, I mean, uh, Mourinho exaggerated, and the fact that nobody in the press said, "Come on, Mourinho, you are playing rubbish football." And you complain about Lazio that at least he's playing football. Now we can't talk about Lazio defense afterwards, but we can't ignore that Roma spent 100 million euros. How much did they spend this summer? And they are same points of Lazio. They have a manager that gets 7 million euros a year, and they have the same point as Lazio has. They're playing rubbish. They have been lucky with the referee, I would agree. And Mourinho said, saying, "Hey guys, we're playing bad, but we're lucky to be here." They say, "Hey, it's impossible that Lazio got away with that offside." I mean, so far this year, Roma or won or was penalized by penalty by a referee. This is what Mourinho says every single time. The only match where he didn't complain about the referee is Inter Roma, where Roma didn't have a single chance. So, I mean, in England, Mourinho is considered a joke. Let's be honest. The press in England was making fun of Mourinho every time complaining. Here, unfortunately, with Roma and with a lot of Roma journalists backing him, it's like he's, the new revolution, guiding the new revolution against Roma, who's unfair treated by the referee, which is completely not true. So I make it make. I think the press release of Lazio is perfect. I would say, well, why didn't you do anything about Acerbi and so on? But at least they did something. Now the biggest concern I have is that Thursday there's a match, a Roma match, and Mourinho will go after Lazio, and I guess with all his friends journalists there, he will destroy Lazio again. But this is what is the press in Italy.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think there's a few things on that. I mean, I guess that's one of my central points on this is that there's been a real lack of communication from the club at several points this year where it was so desperately needed. And we spoke about this only a few days ago with Acerbi. There was no communication from the club to come out and protect a player who was receiving a hell of a lot of criticism and had to eventually take out a page in a national newspaper himself to try and protect himself. There was no communication about various contract renewals. We've spoken about Adam Marisic's contract being renewed without anything being mentioned. There's been problems with Luis Alberto's fitness in the past. We remember that when he was having to miss games and we didn't even know why, and it turned out he had a fitness issue, but nobody knew what was happening. So I guess this is my frustration: is that there's no real plan there. On the journalistic side of it, I think the Mourinho thing, sadly, I think is a sign of the times in Italian football in general, because we saw this with Cristiano Ronaldo as well, is that the Italian press are ready to completely fawn over any massive name within the world of football who ends up in Italy, because it's not where the absolute top names come anymore. Now, I'm not talking about Mourinho as being one of the top managers in the world anymore, but he's certainly one of the biggest names in the sport. We can't deny that. Same with Cristiano Ronaldo. And for 3 years of Cristiano Ronaldo being in Italy, how much talk was there of Juve's decline matching up to his time at Juve? If you compare that to his one season at Man United so far and the debates that have gone on around whether he's good for the club or not, I think we saw far less of that because everyone was seemingly so starstruck by having this guy in the league. And I think that's just sadly a reflection on where Serie A is at the moment, is that when guys like Ronaldo and Mourinho come into the league, they get a hell of a lot of positive press because the league's so desperate to have these star names there to be talked about. So I think there's a big element to that. Obviously, the statement pointed out that there's a partisan element to the press, which is true. But for me, I don't think that's really necessarily the main side of it. I think the main side of it is more that the Italian press is very excited to have Mourinho there because he himself is a big story and a big enough name to kind of help promote the league in himself, because the league has been struggling for that scale of name recently. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, now tell me, if Mourinho was at Lazio, nobody would have said when Mourinho complained over the first match because of referee mistake, hey, you're playing poorly.
Well, no, the media's treatment of Lazio is a whole other discussion, though. But I mean more.
Can we say something before going on? Roma played against Inter, and Corriere dello Sport and the journalist tweeted that it was unfair that the ref of Inter Roma was a ref born in Milan but living outside, because this was completely a joke. And the funny thing about this is that the same refed Milan Lazio and nobody complained about it. Nobody said nothing. But against Inter Roma, that was a scandal. That was embarrassing. That was terrible. This is a huge difference between Roma press and Lazio press. When Roma is playing, it's never the fault. If Roma loses, it's never the fault. There's always an excuse ready. When Lazio plays, there's no excuse. Never. Go on.
No, I agree. I do agree with that side of it. I just think that the Mourinho has been a huge story in himself, regardless of the fact that he's at Roma necessarily. That's essentially my point. So yeah, I mean, I guess we probably should move on to the reason this has happened in the first place, which is the Acerbi offside call. And let's be honest, Vittorio, if this went the other way, if Acerbi was playing for Spezia in this game and that goal went in, you wouldn't be happy about it.
Just to be honest, I didn't celebrate. I waited. I said, oh my God, this is offside. And I thought even Luis Alberto at the beginning was offside. And I was like, no, I think they're going to call it back. And then the whistle, and they give the goal. And I said, well, they checked it for sure. So, I'm not the kind of guy who say, yeah, we've been robbed against Inter, blah, 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 so we'll take everything. I thought it's offside, honestly, and I thought they would never allow it. But on the other side, Alistair, and this is something very important, we didn't have the clear images, the right one, right? They never broadcasted. So all these are rumors, because you don't have the exact line to show that Acerbi was really, really on offside. But again, for me, I have huge doubts that Acerbi was on line. Again, Milan scored in the last minute against Lazio, and Tonali pushes Acerbi. That could have been disallowed. Ibanez elbowing Milinkovic Savic. That could be a red card and a penalty. So, and in that matches, we said, yes, it could have been disallowed, but Lazio played poorly. So, we are not the type of guys that complain a lot on the ref, especially when our team is not performing.
I don't know, Vittorio, you love a complaint about a referee. Yeah, I think it was offside. I'm yet to see a picture that even suggests he can't be offside, to be honest. I mean, I'd be more than happy for somebody to prove me wrong on this, but every single angle freeze frame clip I've seen of it, he seems pretty clearly offside.
You know what? I think they forgot the goalkeeper. They didn't consider.
Yeah.
Because probably he's not the last player. There's the other Spezia defender who is closest to the goal. But usually there are two, because one is the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper is outside. So, but I saw some images today that shows that there could be two players online. But again, we are not saying that it wasn't offside. We said it could have been, probably was. But again, don't talk about Lazio, because against Milan, there was this goal that should have been disallowed. The derby. I mean, we have so many episodes against Lazio that once Lazio's lucky and everybody's screaming against Lazio, etc. That's the completely wrong thing for me.
I think as well, though, there's the fact that I saw earlier today that the referee and I think the guy who's in charge of VAR have both been basically suspended. Well, put on ice for the rest of the season now, which is as close as we're probably going to get to an admission that a mistake has been made. Yeah, I mean, obviously stuff about calling for the games to be replayed and so on, I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's not going to happen. I mean, there have been various incidences over this last season or a couple where Kodakons have, seemed to wade in and say things, but it never really goes anywhere. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that generally, but I think that Lazio were pretty lucky to get the win. In general, I mean, the winning goal being offside is a huge part of that. But even beyond that, I think Lazio are extremely lucky to get away with making the mistakes that they made defensively. Extremely lucky that the Zaccagni goal found its way in off the post and off the goalkeeper's back to get in. I'm not saying, Lazio actually played fairly well on the ball in this match, and it was one of those freak games where it was kind of unexpected. What are you pointing at? He was offside, but what about the strong penalty on Luca Romero after Immobile's strike? All fair play. It's from Simon Zeeb. God, I can't really remember that right now. Do you have? You look like you're agitated.
Yeah, I saw it and I said, this could be penalty. From my point of view, for my type of football, it was a little bit too soft, but we saw a lot of penalty given like that, so that could be given. I agree with you, Lazio has been very lucky, but on the other side, it was surprising to see Lazio reacting like that. We went three times in that match down, which is unbelievable. Plus, Alistair, it was incredible because as soon as Lazio would find the equalizer, 30 seconds later, Spezia would score. I mean, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was, in Italy there's this show called Scherzi a parte where they make silly jokes. I was looking around seeing if there was camera around my house because it was embarrassing. I mean, Lazio scored from a penalty. 1 minute later, Cataldi got it wrong. Patrick don't stop the ball, and they're 2-1 again. Zaccagni score, and 1 minute later, stupid foul by Patrick, and Siena is ahead again. I mean, I was expecting Lazio to collapse after that. Instead, they keep fighting, and this is the big news, the positive news about Sunday, right?
Yeah, that was certainly one thing to be happy about. The kind of fighting spirit to not let their heads drop, because that is something they've been accused of, something we've accused them of in the past is the fact that when things go against them, they can sometimes go missing or let the games get away from them. Hardo's simply asking, how are you after Lazio's last match? Well, yeah, I felt similar to you. I'm glad that we've taken a day in between watching it and recording it because there's just quite a lot of information to process, really. I mean, it was absolutely bonkers match. I think that if we focus on the positives for a second before we get into the goals conceded, I mean, one of the questions we had on Twitter was about, it was from Toronto football fans saying he didn't get to watch the game, so please tell me what we did well with the ball to be able to score 4 goals. And I think in the context of the match, making these comebacks and making those defensive errors, it can be easy to forget actually that Lazio did score 4 goals for the first time in however long, maybe since the last time we played Spezia on the opening day. I can't really remember, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, that was impressive in itself. One was a penalty. One was the Acerbi offside goal. Milinkovic-Savic's goal was excellent, and Zaccagni's goal was very lucky because it hit the post, hit the keeper, and went in. So really, of the 4, only one was a kind of, I would say, probably a legitimate open play goal. You're wagging your finger.
You said we were lucky, but we hit the post. I mean, we were unlucky. No? I mean, we hit the post.
Yeah, hit the post as well. I don't know, maybe this is a controversial opinion, but hitting the post is kind of unlucky, but it isn't actually a shot on target, so it's unlucky, but it's you've still not like actually hit a shot that was going to go in the goal, if that makes sense.
Anyway, Genoa Lazio 1-4, so it wasn't long ago. It was 20 days ago.
Oops. Goldfish memory.
But one thing important, Alistair, is that, as you were mentioning, we score 4 goals, but we hit twice the post. Yeah, one went in. And Provedel, who probably read the rumors that he has been linked to Lazio, had an incredible performance, right? Because we scored four times, but he made at least 3 very good saves. So we shot on target maybe 7, 8 times. And that's a very important fact. I mean, I thought we played really well when we were attacking, obviously. Defense we'll talk later. And that's encouraging. And again, we have to reiterate saying that Milinkovic Savic and Ciro Immobile was the player that lead, right? They were the one fighting. Felipe Anderson, again, huge talent. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't break the TV when he dribbled past all the Spezia defenders from right to left and decide, I'm not going to shoot on goal. Why? I mean, goal is not important, right? I'll go back again and do it again another time. So, again, Milinkovic Savic and Ciro Immobile are so important for this team. I was expecting more from Toma Basic. I don't know what you think about his performance, but yeah, I was hoping much better from him.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you about, because in the last podcast you were saying it was time to drop Alberto and put Basic in the team after a couple of very good kind of cameos off the bench. So yeah, what did you think?
Well, first of all, Sari, next time don't listen to me. Go on your thoughts and I don't know. Maybe the mistake he did at the beginning of the match had a bad impact on him. He didn't play badly, Alistair. Don't think he did anything terrible, but at the same time, he didn't do anything special. So maybe I was expecting something more. And the fact that Luis Alberto came in and immediately he made an assist and Lazio started playing better shows you that, unfortunately, Basic didn't play that well. I was looking that this year, 2022, he started just 3 matches so far. And this is not a very good sign. We are May now, just 3 matches. So I was hoping he had a much better impact this season, which obviously didn't happen.
I have to say, I mean, although he did well against Milan and Torino from the bench, I was kind of surprised about the timing of putting him into the starting lineup, because yeah, maybe Alberto needed to be dropped to kind of give him a bit of a kind of kick up the bum and make sure he's on, kind of aware that his position isn't irreplaceable. But at the same time, I think we kind of talked about how Basic did a lot better against more physical opposition, which Torino and Milan are. And so Alberto was really struggling to find that space and find the opportunities in those matches, and Basic was able to use his physicality to make his presence felt. But Spezia aren't a particularly physical team, so it was a kind of game where you felt there was going to be a little bit more space and time for Alberto. Obviously, it's very easy to say all this in hindsight, but I guess you have to pick on form to a certain extent. They came on, did well, him and Cataldi against Milan. But it did strike me as a little bit strange, the timing of replacing Alberto. Although it was good to see him come off the bench, and that long pass for Milinkovic Savic, that was peak Lazio, really. The deep pass from Milinkovic Savic, from Alberto, the run from deep from Milinkovic Savic, who just showed everything he's got really in that goal, didn't he? Because he's got that physical presence, the ability to pluck balls down out of the air because of the size of him, and then he's got the feet and the composure to just finish off those chances like a striker. So the guy is just unreal. There's been a bit of news on that actually this week. His agent Kesman was quoted speaking of the Italian media, although I'm not sure this was Italian media actually, but
no, it was an English website, but he denied it this morning, saying it's absolutely false. And
it was quoted as saying that Sergei wanted to go to Man United, and then he came out in a separate interview and called it fake news and said he's never said that. So be careful what you read.
Which honestly makes sense. I don't want to be harsh with Man United fans right now, but who would go there, right? I mean, as you mentioned, Minko Savic is an unbelievable player, and at 26, he should be going. He should be heading to a team that has a chance to win the Champions League, which honestly, Man United hasn't got. Hasn't. I don't think next year Man United would be so good that adding Milinkovic will win the Champions League. And the rumors are that Sergei wants to go to Real Madrid. So I don't believe he's waiting for Man United. He's more waiting, relying on Manchester City. Real Madrid. Manchester City could be another option, a team ready to win the Champions League. Maybe Paris Saint-Germain as well. But, I mean, this is an unbelievable player, Alistair. Again, he's been astonishing. It's not only the quality of the player, his physicality, is the winning mentality. He didn't give up. We went 1-0 down. He didn't give up. 2-1, 3-2. He never gave up. That's the thing. And that's why we're going to miss him a lot, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, there's still no certainty that he's going this summer. I mean, I think there's a general acceptance even among the Lazio fan base that this is probably the year and it's probably the time to, if we're going to cash in, to do that, because we don't have that much money and we need to rebuild the whole squad. So if we're wanting to
at least the defense.
Yeah, but if we want to do that, we're going to need the cash, and he's the player to get us the most cash. But B, I think everybody's completely lost faith in the club's ability to give anyone contract renewals. So imagine if we ended up losing a player like him on a free transfer, which would follow in the footsteps of many before him. So I don't think anyone wants to see that happen.
Alistair, do you think after Spezia Lazio the talk of renewing Patrick's contract is over?
No, I mean, look, the arguments to keep Patrick and Strakosha still exist after that game. You know, it doesn't change anything for me. I said when I was talking about Strakosha a couple of weeks ago that for me, he's not an elite goalkeeper, but we have so much else to do with the squad rebuild this summer that he's good enough to keep him there and not have to go and find another 2 goalkeepers, bring in 1 keeper to compete with him and leave it at that. I thought that was terrible error. Basic just couldn't believe that he wasn't coming for that ball. You see him with his hands out, kind of waiting and waiting. So I don't know. Patrick, he didn't have a good game, and of course he's partially to blame for that goal, but also, you know, the pass he got back from Cataldi was not a good one, and I think it made Patrick look worse than he really was in terms of his culpability in that goal.
Going back to the first goal, if the goalkeeper doesn't call the ball, it's yours. So Strakosha should have gone out, but I guess he didn't call the ball, so Basic should have shoot it everywhere he wanted, except on lots of goals. But the thing that scared me more, Alistair, is the third goal Spezia scored that they disallowed for offside in the first half. I don't know if you remember that. The shot on target was very easy to stop, and Strakosha didn't stop it. I thought he was completely, scared or somewhere else. I thought if Spezia would have shot 5 times on goal, they would have scored 5 times. Strakosha was, out of 4, somewhere else. That's the most concerning thing. I thought Saturday he wasn't there simply. But yeah, that was a goalkeeper should have done better than that. On the second goal, I don't think he has huge responsibility, but usually on the one-on-one, he's quite good. The third goal again, he couldn't do nothing. But overall, his performance, you could see his face. It was like white, like if he just saw a zombie. So that's what scares me more. But yeah, I would say that apart from Acerbi, all the defense was awful. And to add to this, we didn't have that many options on the bench, but still his eye wasn't on the bench. He was close to Iglitare Saturday, which was surprising because I don't think he was injured.
Yeah, I remember seeing that just at the start of the game. I kind of assumed there must be some problem with him, but was he actually just left out for tactical reasons? Do we know? Was
I
Sari
mean,
asked about this?
we just spent the first 10 minutes of this podcast saying that Lazio communication is awful. I mean,
Yeah, but
come
Sari
on.
may have been asked in the presser.
Oh, come on, Alistair. You've been in Rome for 4 years, and I mean, you know, you don't know nothing about the players. Why Raul Moro went to the Lazio Primavera instead of being on the bench yesterday? As we do not, we pretty much didn't have any option in front, and still Raul Moro was sent to the Lazio Primavera. Nobody asked. Nobody knows. So I don't think he trained all week long, Isai. So I don't know why he was on the bench.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, especially considering the lack of options there. I saw at one point I had the game on and I opened my phone to go on Twitter, and I saw Spezia's account had just tweeted saying 2 substitutions for Lazio. On comes Kamenevic for whoever was Lazio, and I was like, oh my god! I kind of like looked straight back up at the TV, and I was like looking around for him, and they'd made a mistake, and it obviously wasn't Kamenevic, but. I think that Spezia tweet was as close as we've come to see in a Lazio shirt.
Yeah, I think another incredible. I mean, again, is it possible that today is the 2nd of May and nobody asked Sarri why Kamenovic didn't play a single minute? Why, against Spezia, for example, with the match still online, Luca Romero came in and not Cabral? I mean, I love Luca Romero, but come on, why Cabral is not playing a single second after Udinese Lazio? What's going on? What is people believe is Sarri proving, hey, the winter transfer market was awful, which I can understand, but you don't have to prove it not making those 2 players play a single minute. I mean, Cabral could be useful in the last minute of Spezia Lazio. I don't think he's that bad, right? Why he's not playing? Why doesn't have a chance?
No, I thought he looked pretty good the times he's been on the pitch. I mean, the only thing I can really think of, and this is pure speculation, but given that we never get any details of anything anyway, I just wondered if there's something in the deal with Sporting saying after he reaches a certain amount of appearances, it activates an obligation to buy or something, unless you've decided we can't give him that many appearances because we don't want to actually sign him. I mean, but then why have him on the bench? It's so I don't think it doesn't really make sense to me, but I'm just trying to kind of work out some sort of theory.
Which is the same rumors we had last year on Musacchio. But again,
yeah,
I mean, they talked about 8 matches. It's May, there are 3 matches missing, and he played just 1. So, I mean, it's impossible that he reached 8, right? It's mathematical, right? He played only 1. So he could have played the last 7 matches and we could still be safe. So I don't trust this. I don't believe it. I see him warming up on every match. So he's there. He's available. He's not injured. I agree giving an opportunity to Luca Romero because he's going to be there next year. He's a youngster. He's talented, etc. But maybe in some circumstances, you could go with Cabral.
Yeah, well, there's something going on. And I think we can be pretty confident that neither of those guys, Cabral and Kamenevic, are really going to be around next season. So there goes 2 more squad players to rotate. Just before we finish, has the weekend's results, the weekend's football changed anything for you in terms of how you see this this 4-way battle for European places? Obviously, Lazio now level with Roma, but Roma have got the head-to-head. So,
well, unfortunately, we have to wait tonight to see what Atalanta does. I mean,
yeah.
Salernitana-Atalanta tonight, and this could be crucial because Salernitana needs to win, and if Atalanta loses tonight, they are out. I mean, let's be honest, they're pretty much out. I was checking the last 3 weeks, and I mean, Fiorentina, as soon as we said, hey, be careful, Fiorentina is very dangerous, they lost 3 matches in a row. So, and in the last 3 matches, Lazio got 2 points out of Roma. And it's funny because we thought, well, against Inter and Napoli, they could lose points. They didn't. Well, Lazio lost points. But against Bologna at home, which should have been the easiest match, they weren't able to win. So now we're there. The last 3 will be decisive.
I mean, the big thing this weekend is that Fiorentina and Roma play each other. So there's, one of those teams, if not both of them, are going to drop points. And Lazio at home to Samp is about as, I don't know, it sounds like a nice fixture. I'll leave it at that because I don't like you saying things.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. And the other side, Alistair, is I wouldn't say Lazio is playing better than the other. I think Roma and Fiorentina played poorly in the last 3-4 matches. They haven't been playing great football. But yeah, there's a big chance now to finish 5th. We have to say that at the moment, even the 6th position would qualify for the Europa League. The only chance it wouldn't if it's Roma win the Conference League and would drop out of the first 7 position. If Roma would finish 8th, then the 6th spot would be not for the Europa League, would be for the Conference League.
No, that's not right, actually.
Okay.
Apparently, if Roma win the Conference League, all 3 of those places are Europa League, and Italy won't have anyone in the Conference League next year.
So okay, that's even better.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest, look, it's not, as we've said before, it's not the most exciting way to end a season. Who's going to finish 5th, but at the same time, I think it sets a good precedent. It sets a good platform for next season. I said when we started the season with Sarri, with all the changes needing to be made, if we get top 6, I think that's success and we can move on. And there's still a decent chance of Lazio finishing this year with, I don't know, like mid-60s points, and that's pretty good, I think, considering everything. I think there's a hell of a lot of work to be done, clearly, but there's still a chance. I think if we finish 5th, it would be quite a promising sign in terms of, well, hopefully making Sarri happy and limiting the number of departures and the amount of damage that happens at the end of the season as well.
Just to answer our followers, yes, Lazio is playing Sampdoria next Saturday and then Juventus away. So it's true that Roma has Fiorentina and Fiorentina has Juventus. It's true even Alice, Juventus is already sure of the Champions League position. I don't know how much competitive football they will play, but it's still Juventus. So I think overall Lazio has an easier fixture than Roma. But, at this point of the season, you don't know really which is a hard match and which is not. Because, unfortunately, with so many teams in the Serie A, there are teams like Sassuolo that season is over already. So it's going to be hard to understand which matches are going to be competitive, harder or not. But I would say that Lazio has an easier job than the other. Unfortunately, we saw that this team is able to lose against anybody and at the same time beat anybody. So there's a big question mark, right?
Yeah. I think Samp winning the derby in the weekends is probably a good thing as well, because that's taken a lot of pressure off them in the relegation battle, and they probably should be fine, to be honest, at this point. They've looked pretty crap as well recently, so I think that's a game Lazio really have to be winning.
I mean, Salernitana has to play today, but they have 8 points from Salernitana, so I think they are pretty much safe. But it's always a match you have to play, and then you have Juventus. So yeah, I think I would say it's everything back in Lazio hand again, which is surprising and this shows you that both Roma, Fiorentina, and Atalanta haven't been playing great. Because if Lazio is back there, this tells you that the other team hasn't been performing great football.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of like this throughout the league, though, isn't it? It was kind of felt like nobody really wants to win Serie A. no one wants to finish fifth. No one wants to stay up, until Salernitana's rally recently. It's been a bit like there's not really been many parts of the league where teams have been on fire. So it's a strange end to the season, but I think our run-ins gives us a good chance. Let's say.
Yeah. Nobody wants to finish fifth, but everybody wants to listen to Lazio Lounge. So remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Spreaker, wherever you listen to our podcast, we are there. So search for Lazio Lounge. And we'll be back after Sampdoria Lazio, so probably next Monday. And remember that this next season, we will start very early because the 12th of August, there's the first leg of Serie A. The 1st of August, the Supercoppa Italiana. So, Alistair, this time you have to have a shorter holiday. I'm sorry to tell you that.
You might not have to take August off this year, Vittorio. What are you going to do?
Well, the plan is going to watch Lazio matches on the weekend and then go back.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks, Alistair, for joining me. And we'll be back next week. Forza Lazio.